Namaste, beautiful souls. Today's conversation, we are going to explore a much wider multidimensional lens. I'm very deeply honored to be joined by Viviane Chauvet, a voice known for bridging human consciousness and higher dimensional awareness, also including the Arcturian and galactic perspectives. So, welcome, Viviane.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much, Natalie, for this beautiful invitation. I am really overjoyed to connect with all of you watching, tuning in. So we're excited to be here.
Yeah, this feels special. So I like to always start by asking my guests about their own personal spiritual awakening. I feel like it helps the listeners and viewers to also open up their minds to other people's perspectives and experiences. And I also know it can create powerful inner activations. So Vivian, how did you first realize that this reality that's being taught and being experienced here as a human is not the true full reality, and that there's something different happening here, and yeah, if you would like to share your awakening journey with us.
Absolutely. So my awakening journey is really that of a galactic visitor re-embodying the human consciousness and understanding from that perspective what it feels like to forget who you are, to embody an identity, what we call a third dimensional personality self, that is made of a multitude of perspective that comes from your upbringing, whether it's lineage, whether it's ancestral expectation, cultural education, and everything that's been contributing to create these patches of subpersonality and how people tend to embody that. I found it very fascinating to see also the disconnect from the heart center, which is the most fundamental, the most foundational aspect of you. Your connections to the stars, to the universe, to source energy, to universal connections. And of course, the connections to the planet, Mother Gaia, whether it's the ecosystem, whether it's life here, whether it's honoring every aspect of living being. That disconnect always been a very fascinating paradox to me. And as I'm exploring this world, this very much projected reality, because this third dimensional matrix or this middle timeline, as we call it, it's a very much a projection of a multitude of realities based on people experiences, inner senses, feedback loops, subconscious feel, and all of these influences, and how we abide by certain agreed reality like time, linear time. It is such an illusion, it's fabricated, but we know what to do with it, we understand it, we function through it, and yet it feels so, I would say, disconnected from this more natural, organic, universal pulse and more universal energy. So I think that what I also love to watch is that as I'm shifting in who I am and my mission and my sacred also offering and my contribution, I'm in parallel observing the pace of what is really shifting on the planet, on a global planetary consciousness, whether it's deep within people's inner field, whether it's exterior, whether it's overall, what seems to influence the movement of the human consciousness, what seems to retract it, and what seems to create push through or positive breakthroughs, like we've seen for the last 5, 6 years, in terms of more global reawakening and then shifting the dynamic of what people really wants to know, or what they needs to know, what they are ready to prepare to embody, accept about themselves, accept about each other, to return into the great, beautiful galactic community that this earth always have been a part of. And it's, I feel like, really incredible to watch and also observe again from a galactic visitor perspective, the reversal of layers of thought systems, belief systems, old structures, way of living, and it's just everything is shifting so much. And yet there's still so many opportunity for grounding, for connections, for elevation, as they are also opportunities for distractions, or getting even deeper into the 3D matrix with all these concepts and overloading of information and directions and positive wisdom with false information and all the overlapping. And I always tell my Arcturian delegation and the galactic alliances how fascinating this is to us, because it's a very, very overlapping paradox. And we see this paradox overlapping every day and unfolding. And yet, in the midst of it, like a lotus flower, a bud of light, a seed of universal presence is giving birth to itself. It's expanding, and this expansion in awareness. And you start to feel there's so much more to who I am, to my way of living, to my life choices, to my thoughts, to my feelings, my ability to see, to feel beyond the curtain and the veil of those multidimensional access are being reopened again. And there's so many different gateways reopening and reactivating. And how is it possible? Can I see that? Is it possible that these beings come to me since I was a child? Is it possible, angels? And we say, yes, all of it is 100% possible. It's how you are starting to remember who you are and starting to realign yourself with the true essence of being a human being and embodying at the same time multi layers of that complexity that you are, this multidimensional being that you are. That means a galactic, cosmic, universal, human, and all the above. There's no more separation from none of it. It's all connected to your one soul. This is you embodying these multi-facets of expressions. And I think this is very important right now as we're moving into a high overall harmonic vibration on the planet, and how it's also reopening our brain faculties, the brain lobes, the synapses, the faculties of our body to hold more light, to refine the cosmic energies, solar plasma light, our nervous system being readjusted, how the central part with the vagus nerve is also being shifting to be a much clearer crystalline conduit and transmitter and emitter of all these refined cosmic energy coming in, and how our ability to expand emotionally in our mastery, in the quality of our thought forms, of a state of discernment, our connections, cultivation, and of course with each other. So, just to depict a beautiful picture from one spectrum to another, what we be observing. And it's been my part of my awakening in the sense that I am readjusting along the way with where we are, with the pulse on the planet, where we are consciously. And then, on the galactic level, we can say, okay, now we can reintroduce certain frequencies or certain language, or refine the linguistic way of communicating with you. And and this is how we've been adjusting ever since I have returned physically on the planet. I've been doing that my whole life, but especially through, there's a certain threshold of awakening that overall the entire world has entered into the last 6 years alone. And that's giving all of us an opportunity to be more present and exchange. And we can feel that. I don't know if you feel it, Natalie, but
Yeah.
there's there's something very palpable. And of course, we're now in the fire horse, new year, and so to speak. So if you look at the element, the symbology moving out of a water base into a more fire energy, and that fire energy to us connects also to the solar presence, and it ignites within the body systems, even in the DNA and in ourselves, something ancient, something is really re-emerging. And I think we're just seeing the beginning of a true, real new era, not just a cycle or a new year or a new movement. We're looking at the beginning of a new era on the planet.
Oh, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Wow. As you speak and you share, the whole frequency of me, the room, is just shifting and going lighter. And wow, you hold such immense multidimensional light. This is incredible.
Thank
Wow.
you.
I'm
Thank
just
you so
really
much.
blown away. Um, okay, there's so much that I want to talk about. One of the things that really caught me, like, and I felt something shift in my brain as you said, you the way in which you described here being a human, it feels secondary. Like for you, you are so connected. You are like what would you call yourself, or how would you describe yourself, just so that I can understand?
Of course, of course. So I do represent the Arcturian civilization. So I'm an Arcturian being, and I was sent back to the planet as an ambassador and a universal ambassador, and of course a cosmic teacher. Think of it this way: I represent a future aspect of the ascension of the planet and the human race. So this is what I'm here. I'm here for your future timeline that is unfolding right now, and just to make it easy. So I am referred to as an Arcturian ambassador.
Wow, that makes so much sense because I feel like you are like light years ahead of us, and now you've come to really support us. So what what's just happening here for everyone is we're having a realization and a remembering that our human self is actually secondary. This is the primary self is consciousness. We are consciousness. We are infinite intelligence and we are multidimensional beings. So we don't just exist here as a human, but it is quite beautiful that our mind is very present in our human experience. But I feel like what we do is we attach so much and identify with the I am Natalie or the I am whoever I am person, and it creates separation, and it's that's what's caused the disharmony here on earth. So the energy that I'm feeling from you is this remembrance of the unity and remembrance of the multidimensional being that we are, that we're not just limited to like this finite thinking mind. Our mind is so much greater and bigger and wider, and our energy is so much more expansive. And so, yeah, I would love for you to share about about my multidimensional, about us being multidimensional beings and how we can be have this awareness and be connected while still having the lived human experience. Like how can we live this and bring it together?
That's a fantastic question, and thank you for, summarizing so beautifully, really truly what I am and the capacity that I do. So I am a very, very clear conduit, and I contain and hold a very high level of multi-dimension, multi-frequencies in the one conduit. And my physical body was engineered that way to do that. How can we do that? It's available to everyone. At first, you have to understand truly and accept precisely what you just said, Natalie, is that your human identity is a conduit through which your soul come to learn, to experiment, whether it's physicality, whether it's to clear certain karmic lessons, whether it's on a galactic history level, whether it's to lineages, whether it's to a multitude of other ancient civilizations or other lifetimes that we refer to as timelines. We, regardless of what your soul has come to embody, or even just to learn what being a human is like. And there's many ancient souls or star seed and even star masters who come here. And when we reintegrate the holographic human consciousness field, we start to understand the implication to be in that energy with everything that comes with it. But when you start to identify more to, I am pure consciousness, I am an infinite being of light. If you want to feel it in more human terms, you are a divine child of the universe. So, in a sense, it is the same soul experimenting a multitude of facets, a multitude of energy. Excuse me, I apologize. My baby girl want to say hello. She's a
Yeah.
Lyran.
Oh,
Yeah, she's a beautiful, powerful tigress, and she's a soul from Lyra.
Yeah.
And she told me when she was a baby that I was her caretaker in this lifetime. So I said yes, and I became her cat mama, and I'm very proud to be that. So
Yeah.
it was a brief introduction, and I apologize for this beautiful energy that she brought. But coming back to identify as a child of the universe, so you really tune in and you can feel, you start to open up yourself, that there's so much more to you. There's no more any need to identify to fragments of identities or past mistake or distortion. You start to gain a much bigger picture and a loving one of through the potential that you hold. And if you accept that you are the same soul who has had a multitude of other life experiences, you start to understand also how much knowledge, wisdom you really have. So when you take a deep breath and you return to integrate into this human experience, honor yourself as a human. Being a human is potentially one of the most challenging and yet extremely rewarding experience your soul may have ever had. Because coming from a higher realm where none of the distortion exists and you always keep yourself in a state of high cultivation, vibrational harmony, and you're thousands of years and even millions of years old as a being, coming back in this lifetime in a third density, polarized, experiencing duality, polarity is, and it's extreme experiences. You go like, whoa. And I thought after millions of years that we have experienced everything, now we understand the complexity of what being an earth human in the midst of reascending again. You're returning to reclaim your celestial self. But the good news is that that part of you, that aspect of your divine self, have always coexisted with you because this is who you are primarily. This is your essence. So, being a multidimensional being, what does it really mean? So, I like to use an example of past lives. So, for example, many people identify in the eras or the different timelines of Atlantis or Lemuria, Atlantis, leading up to ancient Egypt, and then the many others civilization, whether it's the Mayans, the Inca, whether it's, the energy of Babylonia or ancient Greece and so forth, just to name a few recognized civilization or timeline or historical timeline, where if you have existed or had a past life in all of these five civilizations or timeline I just described to you, all of these aspects of you still coexist with you now, even though from your 3D human perspective, it is a potential, maybe some memories or feeling an affinity for or an attraction for, but that's how it is. In reality, those are multidimensional aspects of you coexisting with you now. You're simply unaware, and there's simply a barrier between these aspects of yourself and the one that you are identifying the most with. Like you said, my name is Natalie, my name is Viviane, my name is, Richard, Monica, Linda, and this is my story, right? But it's just another branch of experience. Still, if you look at my hand, it's the same hand, it's the same soul, just different connection. So I like to illustrate the concept of multidimensionality that way. It is the same thing with your galactic selves. You may have lived what we call time cycles, whether it's the Arcturian realm or with the Lyrans or many different aspects of Sirius, or you were Venusian, or you came far beyond the Andromeda galaxy. And you bring this aspect of you here in this incarnation. It's just a matter of resonance, a matter of being conscious of it. This is why I like to use those examples to illustrate, just to see, to visualize, to feel how it pertains to all of you to be a multidimensional being. So the concept of past life is simply a reminder that you are first and foremost that pure consciousness, this infinite being of creation, and you may have lived 20,000 lifetimes. I've seen personally, Natalie, to my work over the, well, 15 years plus, I've seen people resolving energy or bringing back an aspect of a past life that was 50,000 years ago. And they say, how is it possible? That's because there's no time, not the way you perceive it here. See, we're already moving into multidimensionality just by this conversation.
I feel it. And so as we start to accept and remember um, how how incredible and ancient we actually are and how wise we are, I notice that we become more sensitive. Like just recently for me, I something's going on with my brain. So um I feel so much light and energy around it, and I see energies, color, light, and then everything can turn into violet light fractals and the room can disappear.
Mm.
And yeah, the brain thing's interesting because it's been a little bit harder to be human. I've just I've struggled a little bit with like doing basic tasks because I've just gone through like a major carrying more light, so I'm getting used to it now. So I'd love for you to speak about that and also like about sensitivity because I know like in my community, a lot of people are becoming more sensitive and they're becoming more multidimensionally aware. And yeah, if you could um, give some support and guidance for us, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely. And I see that also with my community and people I come in contact with, whether it's through podcasts or online works or in conferences, there's an overall sensitivity. I mean, also sensitivity to what's happening on the planet, whether it's through technology, Wi-Fi, whether it's also cell phone tower and all of this energy. We always said that your level of sensitivity will be measured, so to speak, by your level of awareness. The more you're consciously attuned, the more your conscious self is expanding, it will naturally reattune, of course, your physical body capacity to carry those refined cosmic energies, whether it's, you talk about the brain, what the brain is, the hardware through which your soul directions send signal. And as your brain evolve, it opens up the natural pathways of receiving multidimensional directions, guidance, ancient knowledge, understanding ancient languages, and decoding also sound, vibrations, tones, and all of it. So the brain is starting to return to rediscovering itself in its true potential rather than the limited version or the toned down version it has been for generations. Whether it's shutting down your heart center out of protection, whether it's generations of living more in coexisting with the vibration of fear and all expression of fear, because it is an experience, it's an energy, whether it's moving through different historical phases of evolution, whether it's, the industrial revolution or the different, wow, I was going to say the world war, and I choked. I couldn't say that word. This is how
Oh,
choking it is. Whether
oh, I can
it's,
feel it.
you can feel it, and this is part of the wounds and the great trauma that also has been released more and more from the earth body etheric field and the evolving crystalline grid system on the planet, and all the nervous system of the planet is shifting out of the traumas. There's a release of these old fragmented and traumatized template, and that reflect also in our body. Your body is pure energy. The body is intelligent. The body is designed to evolve in consciousness with you. So, of course, you start to tuning to your higher sensory perception. Your empathic center is expanding. That can cause sometimes almost like pain around your chest area or pain in the heart, feeling more vulnerable. I feel more emotional. What's happening? Well, chances are your heart center is re engaging into a more natural conscious expansion. You start to really feel the true biorhythm of your heart, and you start to return to that place of sacredness. What that means also understanding that part of you, going more inner connections, stepping to a higher self-realization about what that sensitivity for you is about. What is it telling you? What is it teaching you about yourself? And for us, it's all included, all encoded in the pathway of soul memories, the true aspect of your remembrance. You start to return and releasing layers of identities, releasing your ancestral burdens, promises at a soul level made, old soul contract, covenant, vow even to the dark side, vow with there's an aspect of what you've come to bring. There is also that release. There's a sense of completion. And then there's another level. You're moving into the next level of your natural evolution. It's all about soul evolution. So it can be expressed through how you sleep because you're more connected to universal timing. You start to, your biology, your internal organic clock, so to speak, is releasing itself from the rhythm of the 3D linear time construct. You're no longer a linear being. Well, you never were, but you start to really release, your body systems start to shift and realign with the universal time or universal movement or the great natural laws of the universe versus the confinement here in a 3D structure. There's a release or certain echo of those past structure that is taking place. So naturally, your body is entering into a new phase of harmonic realignment. That means everything, your nervous system, your lymphatic system, your skeleton structure, your bone start to vibrate at a different level, the bone marrow, whether it's also the body ley lines, the brain functions, your chromosome is shifting. There's a molecular expansion taking place, your DNA, everything. That is if you allow it. Ah, yes. So all of it is unfolding. But of course, because you're a powerful being, you have the power to either stop it, resist, retract in fearful mode, and wants to go back and hiding to where it feels more comfortable. And that's precisely the role of the 3D egoic mind. The mind will resist because it will tell you that this is very uncomfortable. You're in danger. You're going into fight or flight mode. You're retracting into a more primal way of responding to changes and movement. And then therefore, the mind can pull you in that direction. This is why it is important to understand for you personally how all of these changes are affecting you, at what level, what is the purpose behind it, and is it possible? It is all orchestrated by your soul power. It's soul willpower to your higher self rather than the reference point of your 3D mental mind that will tell you based on past experience, create construct or dynamic or stories and tell you that there's something wrong about you. There's something off. It must be my health. Maybe I need to take more vitamin C. Maybe I need to cover my head with something. And we say, that's an interesting response. Ask, tune yourself in, bring your higher self, your divine self. Is this part of my soul purpose, my soul willpower that I've initiated all of these changes? Am I evolving alongside with the planet, with the solar system, with the dimensional shift? And if so, can I resist? Can I release the resistance? If there's still resistance, it's okay. Just learn from them. What is it is still anchoring you into the 3D field? Whether it's a belief system, something your parents or a father, mother, a guardian, a grandparent used to tell you all the time. Is there something ingrained deep in the subconscious field that still tells you, but if you go that route, you'll be in danger? And it's more to demystify that with universal compassion and patience, of course. Mm.
Really, that is the key. That gentleness, that patience, I've seen it
Mm.
over and over again. It's so tender and soft that the energy of acceptance, when the resistance arises, to just recognize it, and in the recognizing of the resistance, if you recognize it with an open heart, with love, instead of forcing and then trying to control, because then you stay in the ego and the patterns, you actually the release of the resistance happens by itself. All you actually have to do is recognize that it's there. And in the recognition of the resistance, the light that you are is so bright that it then does the rest, it does the dissolving. So you, in recognition that, oh, there's resistance, you notice that which you're not. And then it naturally dissolves. So there's no like effort and pressure to push to change and clear it. So thank you. That feels very empowering and deep.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I love your energy and how you bring everything that we say, and it really is. It's about re-entering into a much more loving and empowering and yet patient relationship with self. And I would say most of the frustration, the anger, the sadness, the grief, and all of these experiences, oftentimes because there's been a lack of nourishment and connection to the self, which has nothing to do about, being selfish or self-centered. There's nothing to do with that. But that a reconnection allows you to understand on a micro level what is on the micro level, and the inner with the other, and all the universe that is coexisting within you. And as after time, the one person that most people tend to neglect and be harsh and demanding the most with is themselves. And I start to create another factor that we have observed, we as the Arcturian and I, is the tendency for people to push outwardly their energies. There's too much energy pushed out. They're looking out to seek, to bring, to grasp, to understand. The mind get engaged, and then all their energy come out. How easily do you give up your inner peace? That's a sacred virtue. How easily are you giving up your self-love? How easily are you giving up your true self-authority, your sovereignty, your light, your uniqueness to view the world? How easily are we getting caught up with what seems to be so predominant and so much more powerful, and this authority outside of ourselves? So all of these really are powerful questions that will lead to, is there an opportunity to fill the gap within yourself and start to understand really who you are? Never out of inflating self-importance, that's egoic energy, or overly, sometimes people tend to overly inflame that energy out of misunderstanding what it means to connect to oneself, but rather to invite in patience, benevolence, and loving presence. You say, I will now understand more the fuller spectrum of my being, and that includes how my human experience is engaged in this. How am I, through on a higher level, am I allowing my higher self to guide my life? Or am I going to pilot, or what I call more of a 3D dualistic spiritual way of rediscovering awareness, universal presence? What does it mean to be in connection with star beings or galactic beings? Same semantics, we're just using different words. But what does it mean to be a part of all of it? You're simply naturally returning to what is your birthright and coexisting with the stars, so to speak, which feels so poetic. Well, in reality, again, it's your birthright. It's, again, very natural as you've accepted about yourself, as breathing, as ingesting food to nourish your body, or vitamins, or to sleep, to let your body repair. All the things that we have accepted that feels natural here, well, being part of the stars is also just part of those natural, organic invitation to understand that you've always been part of the stars. And we're bridging the gap, we're opening the field and healing that energy. And healing is the remembrance that it's always been there, whole, it's perfect, it's ready for you when you are, and that energy is there. So coming back in terms of rediscover truly the magnificence of who you are, the true abilities you have, the uniqueness of your expression, the uniqueness of your core frequency. Every being, not only on the planet, and that includes animals, bees, trees, plant nation, every being has a unique vibrational signature. Same thing with every civilizations, let's call it this way, or star groups, whether it's the Andromedans or a group of Pleiadians or a group of Antares or a group of Mantis being. Each group has a unique vibrational signature. That's in addition to each being have a unique core frequency. So you start to understand that you're able to project the same reverence and respect to another being because now it's become natural part of you. Mm.
Oh, I can really feel that. I would love for you to share with us a bit about the Arcturians, and because maybe there's some listeners that um don't know about the Arcturians. If you could share with us like what they're here to share and how they function and vibrate and how their frequencies are supporting us humans, and yeah, anything else that comes through. How are you connecting with us and communicating with us and what is available for
Mm.
us?
So much. Just that portion, where it's available to you, so much. What is available to you is truly the key of the universe. It's everything. Everything. You can literally have access to everything. So I'm going to start there because it really opened the field to universal presence, right? To universal awareness. Arcturians, a great many things have been written about us. Arcturians, we are among the oldest beings in creation, and we are the most difficult ones to be completely understood and recognized by in the current state of consciousness of humanity. That's because other beings who understand when there's Arcturian energy around, some really rejoice, others work with us, and others will fear us because we know that we are great paradigm shifter. That means that if when the Arcturian frequency enter the energetic field of a planet, we have the ability to realign the time frequency, the natural time frequency of that planet, and being able to disengage and remove any form of distortion is put in place. So some beings who would like to be in control and like to use other people's energies or other beings' energies, well, when an Arcturian is around, they really don't like us because they know that we have the ability not only to perceive for what they are, to perceive them for what they are, but we also have the ability to coach and teach those beings that there's other ways to do this. There's an opportunity to return to the universal presence and higher awareness so they can also reconnect where their original divine spark. And some of the beings we've been able to coach them and they have accepted our invitation, and others resist greatly because as such they're not ready. So Arcturians, as a very ancient civilization, a star nation, we have learned to harmonize ourselves. So the Arcturus realm, it's a realm of great mastery. It's a realm where we learn about the perfection, the perfect octave of a soul. We are master architect of light frequencies. We carry a light as beautiful universal emissaries, and we travel throughout the multiverse to help either a civilizations or a species like the earth humans in the midst of a most profound evolution. We're going to be there to support and guide and preserve the integrity of that evolution. We also help planets or younger planet that are preparing themselves to receive new seedings of light. We're going to bring in the, how could I say that, the original core, the original vibration of energy in the field to prepare that planet. Think of it as a term of terraforming the planet in conscious alignment with that civilization or the seeding of life coming in, preparing the harmonic of that planet to bring in the seeds of life, and then a new civilization can emerge, or it can be the reminiscence of an older civilization that may have been gone extinct, and then there's aspect of themselves returning and starting into a new direction. Our role is immense. We help to maintain the balance in the universe. And for the Earth perspective, there's a group of us assigned, in addition to working with the spiritual hierarchy of the Earth, along with the Masters of Light. We are here to bring back Gaia, our consciousness, the planet Earth consciousness, into her original celestial design. We're here to release and remove the distortion of the misalignment, miscreation into what's called the time cycle frequency. We're bringing her into her original alignment, and we're here to oversee that all life who has returned on the planet will be giving an opportunity to reascend. So we're master guides, we're master teachers, we're great we stabilize the energy of the planet herself, because we are also a great conduit for these multidimensional frequencies. And just to keep it very simple about what we do, our presence is can shift the nature of the fabric of the nature of where the timelines are moving into. We're guardians of the timeline. We can oversee a multitude of alternative realities all at once, and we can determine which alternative reality or timeline will have the most higher potential of movement. And we're here to work with many other very ancient, enlightened star nations who also have different roles as engineers or architects, or to bring in the new structures. So we work together in that sense. So we essentially bring souls to the original octave of creation, and to bring the life back in that original universal presence. And so wherever I go, even for me physically on the planet, the earth understand who I am, and she greeted me when I first returned, and she's extremely grateful everywhere I travel. I can hear the Gaia consciousness communicating with me. I can communicate with so many beings, whether I'm being welcomed by the water nation, or I'm being welcomed by the tree nations, or the guardians, the mountains, the soil. Wherever I go, I am being welcomed with an open heart, because all life in this ecosystem and the earth consciousness herself knows exactly who I am and what I carry beyond this physical vessel. And so we're accelerating the higher timeline of reascension, and I represent a future potential aspect of the reascended version of the celestial human beings, and helping the souls who've been trapped in the lower astral region of the planet to free themselves so that they can continue to evolve and expand into the higher octaves of creation. And believe me, there's so much opportunity, so many ways a soul can evolve. It's phenomenal.
Wow. I feel so blessed to be having this moment with you, and because I've been connecting with you with Arcturian um beautiful energy and wisdom for just recently, like not even a year.
Oh, wow. Not even a year. Okay.
Yeah, and I feel so since I was little, I've been very connected to the angelic realms,
Oh, yes.
and channeling and connecting, and then so recently the Arcturian energies and wisdom has been coming through. And so, wow, this is just really, really special because, as you're speaking, waves of vibration are moving through. And I get this sense that um, humanity is is such a precious species,
Mm.
and we are loved so much, and we are deeply supported. Um, and I get the sense that there so many star families and galactic beings that are kind of directing their focus and their energy towards us and Earth. Would you like to share a bit about like what role humanity has to play in like the larger galactic ecosystem, and why Earth is so important from a galactic perspective?
Yes, all those amazing questions. Beautiful observation. I just want to observe the joy of your angelic connection. We talk about, being more connected to the angels and what we call the angelic realm. Oh, yes. It's very much part of your core essence, Natalie. And I don't know if you knew about this, a little fun fact. Throughout history, as life has evolved, there's different stages of conscious evolution on the planet. There was a time where Arcturians were thought to be angels because of our such we vibrate in a such high frequency level, and physically our body is more ethereal than it is a physical form as you know it here, but our capacity to maintain ourselves in such high octaves with precision, with mental, very advanced mental capacity, and how we're utilizing very advanced spectrum of light frequencies and codes, that our vibrations were compared to that of angel beings. So
That
no
makes so
wonder.
much sense.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know, that's what I really feel because now, even more recently, like just I'd say months, just in the last few months. So first I was channeling like the angels and then the Arcturians, and then all of a sudden it's just all as one.
Yes. Okay, I'm really thrilled you said that too, because that's another piece of wisdom we want to bring. Understand, please, everyone watching and tuning in, is that from a whether it's celestial, universal, galactic, at these levels, there's no more hierarchy or labeling or saying that, well, those are the lower rank angel, those are the higher rank angel, those are the higher rank beings, those are lower frequencies. This all these concepts to want to label, give a name, project an emotion to, and being able to compartmentalize these beings only exist here in that 3D field. So when you release that energy, like you just mentioned so beautifully, angelic presence with Arcturians coming together in the oneness of what we're here to and be of service, supporting you, supporting your mission, supporting those on the planet, supporting also the balance even in the solar system and the presence of other celestial beings. It's all working together in that sense. So I'm really thrilled that you mentioned that about your own experience.
Oh wow, we're getting even lighter now. I feel like heart opening happening so big. Yeah.
Mm, yes.
So, oh yes, so just returning
Oh,
back to the question about Earth and like humanity and like our role and Earth's role in the whole of the galactic overview. Yeah.
of course. And I love that.
Yeah.
So, Earth humans, we are waiting for the day where there's going to be a conscious delegate or a group of delegations that will be finally taking their rightful place within the galactic alliances. It is said there's already some other form of humans have already started to rejoin and take their place. But from an Earth-based perspective, it is such a rejoice celebration to bring back the Earth and to bring back the Earth human beings as a species back as equal within the galactic community and many councils of light. And that's because of all the lessons you will have learned through generations of souls who have returned into a multitude of what we call generational timeline. Every generations are brought group of souls who've come with different purpose, anchoring a planet, shifting even in the most darker hours. Every beings who have returned to the planet with the attempt to stabilize, clear, cleanse, accelerate the awakening. We have seen through the future timeline of the planet an aspect of human beings. And we're talking about the timeline we look into was at least 400 or 500 years in the future, even though it's happening now, but to your perspective, it's in the future. And the future aspect of the reintegrated beyond polarity, beyond duality, beyond technology, beyond dark influences, all of it, the reintegrated celestial human being will become the great teachers in the universe. Your capacity for being an empathic race. You carry the pure divine spark, the original spark, because of your heart center. Your emotions will become the great source of your power, your teachings, your presence, and many, many beings will continue to come to you to understand what it feels like to have that emotion, to feel so close, so in oneness with source energy. And when you look at today's what's happening now, there are so many people or generations or lineages of people who have had interactions with a multitude of beings, where there's a beings with a large group of what's called the gray nations or the grays. It's a very large group. It's not all the same. They are evolved at different stages, but many of them have lost their original divine spark that they had a long time ago. They're believed to be an aspect of humanity, but just super deeply disengaged with the human emotional center, and they feel they lost their original spark, their original ability to evolve even physically as being. So of course they're going to be drawn to you. There's a lot of soul agreement made. There's a lot of agreement arrangements made. Perhaps you were an aspect of their future self returning into your past to reconnect and create new generations of beings who will return to reclaim that source energy. You have to think about a much larger picture. So whenever you hear stories, whether you hear people testimonial about their experience, or in conferences or UFO and all of this, ask yourself, reveal to me the bigger divine picture behind all of it, because everything, it's still within this unfolding divine design. Everything, it is that part. And so ask what is happening, what is really always revealed to me from the higher truth, the higher illuminate truth of the golden ray of creation. Reveal to me the highest truth behind this event or my experiences or these beings or this situation or what's unfolding. Allow me to understand from a point of having a clearer, much more detailed picture rather than jumping to conclusion or based on global phenomenal, and then it's overlapping and oversaturated with emotions, and being able to understand that we all are interconnected. And as you step into your self-realization and returning into as a universal being in a very beautiful human form, you start to understand the power of your emotional center and utilizing that in connections to universal compassion, true empowerment as a sovereign being. And we can see how moving forward, human beings will be the great teachers for other, maybe younger races, and who are in the midst of a huge shift in their evolution, or beings who have gone through deep into technology without an organic consciousness that will come and understand the ripple effect of their actions. And it will return to you, says, there was a time in your earth history when you went through that. And yet today, in your future self, you have succeeded into returning to your celestial self. And there's this divine spark, this emanation of light we see in you. How did you do it? How were you able to preserve that emanation? And that's part of what we see as fermented potential.
Oh, I love it. I feel like asking about the Greys because I've had a few people in the community ask about them. Could you shed some light and share a bit more about them?
Yes, remember, it's a big word. It's a huge umbrella. Now, one thing I just want to clarify again, because in the past, and I have been accused to be a gray hybrid. I can assure you that in Arcturians, we are a very distinct race, very ancient, and we have our own identity and our own evolutions. We have nothing to do whatsoever with that group. Now, within the galactic community, we are all interacting with each other. There are a multitude of branches, or think of it as like in your family, you will have different cousins, right? And each cousin may represent a different branch of ancestors or distinct or more distant family connections. So think of it this way. So when we talk about the gray, coming from this system of Zeta Reticuli and other places, some of them are part of the most ancient beings. Some of them are very physically different from the one that your consciousness has been fed upon. That's the thing about controlling the narrative, the control of the narrative around rediscovering your galactic origins. There's been a lot of push into your field, push to play and pull string of your heart of fear, of uncertainty, and all of this, these invasion and all these scenarios, all of this to prevent you and disconnect you more from the truth of your beautiful star connections in our community. So to keep that in mind. So the gray nations have evolved at different stages of evolution. Some of them are they're very advanced in their ways and they understand the place of the earth. They understand very much the emanation, the potential, the DNA, the uniqueness of what is encoded in the DNA of human beings. However, they're very different beings from you. So it will be impossible for them to understand your emotions the way you perceive them here, the way you feel about yourself, the way you're expecting other beings who have evolved in a complete different sector of the universe, a complete different realm, a different pathways, a different way of thinking, feeling, analyzing everything. So one thing I would like to invite everybody is to prevent projecting your humanity onto another species, whether they're grays, tall white, whether they're come from the Alpha Centauri, whether they come from, some Andromeda, or they come from Cassiopeia or Venus. You have to make sure you understand that you have to step into a more universal consciousness of a consciousness, a sentient life form connecting with another sentient life form. Okay, so grays have evolved in different branches of their own civilization or their own sub branches. Some are more advanced than others. Some come from a past aspect of their civilization. Others represent a future aspect. And therefore, it will change the quality and the dynamics of how they interact with other species. And that include Earth humans. And we understand a great deal has been talked about and testimonial abduction and to see them in you. But I personally met a beautiful lady. She used to be a professional photographer, and she had first-hand experience with them, touching them, being with them, and she started to understand that beyond this, this facade, there's a sentient beings behind it. I personally met a gray in the hybrid human form, and she was more gray than she was human. And this person was so persecuted that she has to live in exile in the mountain range. I feel her energy right now, and she's no longer on the planet. She is finally returning to her civilization. But I remember distinctively that was, I would say, at least minimum 15 to 16 years ago, where I was invited to a private gathering, and this woman come with thick sunglasses, And you can tell she's carrying almost like the weight of the world on her shoulders. She's very short. She was white hair, albino. And the first thing she said that she shared with our group is, I'm a gray being and I have made mistake in the past that has affected aspect of the earth history. And as a way to clear the karma, I was returned into a gray hybrid form. But the government and all of the other behind the scenes knew she was, and she was very much persecuted. Now I know that there's a lot of negativity or traumatic imprint around that, and I do honor that. I do. Not all beings are in the same, not all beings in the same equal field of conscious evolution. If you present it that way, it brings perspective. I know this wonderful woman from Germany. She's a beautiful grandmother who worked with hybrid children of all species. And she has been interacting with different type of grays, very evolved, but in their own state of awareness. They're not humans. They have no concept of emotions. They don't understand your boundaries, your expectations, what it feels acceptable, what is unacceptable, what is the protocol. They're learning. We teach them and many others, but they are different sentient beings. And she understands that when she interacts with them. Some are mostly completely deprived or even sense of awareness, and they just take what they want, and that can be very traumatic. And she went through that. But there's also intervention with the more aware ones. There's always protection, is always energy that allows us to be in our power. Stay in your light, stay in your empowerment. The more you're filled with a light that transcends the comprehension of beings who may be on the lower spectrum of the octaves, or maybe on the lower spectrum of being disconnected and more in a self-serving mode, they won't be able to hold the frequency of your light. Stay in that powerful light. Just understand that the universe is made of such a diversity of life. And just like here on, look at this planet. Natalie, look at this world. You can meet human beings. You're from the same species. And you're gonna go, my goodness, am I on still the same planet, the same, reality? Where is your sense of discernment? Where's your emotional compassion is? Where's your empathy? It's not there because they're so disconnected. So if you accept that this is happening now and we see that, imagine in the multiverse. So grace, like the expression is many shades of gray, there's many different versions of grace and not all equals. It's about your discernment. It's about who you are and understanding not everyone has soul contract with them. It maybe never be part of your path. However, it is still part of the galactic community. We feel difference here. I hope you really gain a different perspective on the topic.
Absolutely. Feels very empathetic, expansive, uh, seeing through the heart rather than um, going into fear and closing down and being separate. It feels like, oh, accepting like there's all parts of us. Even if we look at our own self, our own mind, and we have different parts of our own mind. Sometimes our mind says cruel things to ourselves and judges and is critical, and so we can recognize, oh, there's all different patterns, all different shades. And so the more and more we come into our heart, the more and more we vibrate from this love, this acceptance, this high frequency. And so I would love just one last question, and then we can wrap up, for you to share with everyone a way in which they could raise their frequency, protect their energies. Yeah,
Yes, yes. Protecting your energy is allowing the opportunity of you to expand of how much light you carry within your field. So one thing that the Arcturians we talk about and we teach about a lot is how to maintain your physical body and more in alignment not only what you eat and what vitamins you take, but where's your relationship between the soul and the body connection? In other words, allow are you allowing yourself to be more fully present with your body? Utilize the earth grid system to expand your body ley lines, or known as your root systems. So imagine all of your body circuitry of light, like body ley lines, connecting to the sole of your feet, expanding your roots like trees, and go deep into the higher version or the fifth dimensional aspect of the earth, to have this foundation already in more unity right in the body. And always, every day, reassess your energy, clear the contour of your energy bodies, clear your astral body. You can do to your higher self, to your intention. You can invoke the violet flame of transmutation. You can utilize the rays of creation to do this. Remember, your intentions led with certainty and the power of your heart. Oh, it's a powerhouse. Powerhouse. You are a powerhouse. Feel that right now. So clear your emotional body, clear your astral body, your mental body, your physical body, your spiritual body, and to feel that you are maintaining yourself into what's called quantum balance. And what it means to release yourself from the dynamics of polarization, duality, whether it's being divided in your mind or your emotions, or to absorb too much from what's happening right now, and then you get oversaturated, and then your digestive system is overloaded. Your solar plexus is just is too much. You're no longer in tune with your own vibration. Feel, reveal to me my own signature, my energy signature. What is my core frequency? And return to your core frequency. And as we mentioned earlier, be mindful of how generous you are with sharing and pushing your energy to everything. How you give up your inner peace, your inner vibration, your inner balance too much, too easily for everything, anything that is going on. Return to breathe in this quantum balance and allow your soul to guide your journey. Let the universe in more. And it's become a way of being, a second nature. It's becoming so natural. And you can utilize technology that we're doing right now to connect, but that's the extent of it. There's no more to overly empowered object or technology or devices or anything that was made for you, but rather to understand the power that's coexisting within you. And that's powerful right there, what we just said. This is a great pearl of wisdom.
I can feel that. Wow, thank you so much. Wow. Thank you, Viviane, the Arcturians. Thank you for your presence, your wisdom, your deep support for humanity and all the other beings that are also here on Earth and
Yes.
beyond. Thank you for this connection. And for everyone who's been watching, we would love to hear from you. Write in the comments in the chat and just share what's touched your heart, what's vibrating strong for you, what you feel like sharing with the community. Yeah, that feels very special. So thank you everyone, and thank you Viviane, deeply from my heart and soul. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's my privilege.
Namaste.